Well, it's a little difficult to follow all that. Of course, I'm reminded of the older man who once said, I'd rather be enriched by flattery than improved by rebuke. So I have enjoyed some wonderful compliments, and I thank each of the three of you who stood up here, including the interim president, Dr. Gomez, including the board chair, Christine Kwong, and including Bobby Abram, executive director of the foundation. I have to say that I have to begin this speech with a note of gratitude. I am so thankful for so much. I'm thankful for all of you who came out today. I'm really overwhelmed by it, and I'm thankful for those of you who are patient enough to stand up. And I thank you for your presence very much. There's a lot of people to thank. Of course, we could be here all day if I mentioned all the people who made such a contribution to my life. Make no mistake about it, I'm under no illusion that I'm a self-made man. I owe a lot to many others, beginning with my wonderful parents in Sweetwater, Texas. And going on, I think of here at Pasadena City College, the present administration and trustees and students and faculty. And then I think of the past. There are some of you in this audience who served with me when I was here from 1987 to 1995. And I thank you for coming out today. So I'm grateful for a whole host of people here at Pasadena City College. I am very thankful for those of you who were with me in the legislature. I was surprised when I got the note that my chief of staff from Sacramento was going to fly down here, and Gail Evans, and I was pleased to learn that another staff member, Teresa Acosta, who came from Carlsbad to be here. So I look out there and I see Fred Register, who was my campaign manager. You know, campaign, we went through some exciting times, some tough times. I remember he warned me when I first began my campaign. He said, Jack, you may be surprised at how few people know you. And of course, the thing that really paid off for me is that when I knocked on the door of some people, along with Lakrita, I would simply say, you know Pasadena City College? And of course, they would reply normally very favorably. They'd say, oh yes, my son went there, or I took a course there, or that's a great college. And I'd say, well, I was president of Pasadena City College, and that would open the door. And so I owe a lot to this institution. And it was a wonderful time when I was here. I like to thank a lot of people. In fact, speaking of board members, I thank the board, but I also want to thank two past members of the board. Well, one is still a member, that actually chose me to be president of Pasadena City College. So I wish I could stop and thank every one of you, but there are foundation members, church members, friends, but there is the wonderful fact of my family is here. And I'm proud of my family. I've been very blessed in my life, beginning with my parents, who were deeply religious people and loving people in Sweetwater, Texas, when I was born many years ago. Now, as I mentioned my family, there is one mention was made of the absence of my dear son, Adam, but also of the absence of the one who was the most influential in my life, was Lakrita. At every step of my life, she supported me. She gave me wonderful advice. She was quite willing on occasions to make a kind suggestion of something I might change. And I listened carefully to her. And when she stood beside me as we were greeting people, she was an outstanding representative who made lots of friends. I'll tell you a little story about my first campaign. On one occasion, I had 2 invitations. And so I talked to Lucreta. I said, Lucreta, would you go out and represent me at one of these settings, and I'll take the other one? And she said, sure, I'll do that. So she came and she spoke, and she reported back that a man came up to her and said, I believe we're running the wrong person. So I can't tell you how wonderfully blessed I was by having 66 years with this wonderful person who meant so much to me. And so I have a lot to talk about, and I won't talk long. I know those of you who are standing there I hope are quite patient. But I will say this. So let me simply say that I want to talk about this wonderful institution, Pasadena City College, but about community colleges in general. You might wonder why that I was a part of community colleges. The reality is I never attended a community college nor taught in one. But I had come to Pepperdine University, and I have a couple of good friends from those days in Jim Wilburn and Grover Goin. I had an opportunity. I heard about an opening in community colleges. What was it that struck me about community colleges? And as I said, I was someone who was cause-oriented, but mainly because of my parents. My parents did not suggest to me that they wanted me to make a lot of money or to achieve fame. They simply suggested to me that I ought to be a servant. And so I tried to fulfill that in my life. And so I began to learn a little bit about community colleges. I think of that wonderful plaque that is on the Statue of Liberty, written by Emma Lazarus, who says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free." The community colleges are the Statue of Liberty for people in higher, or students in higher education. And they want something, I could say something like that. Give me your students who, because of the high standards in both CSU and UC, might not be able to get in, but they can come to us. We will meet their needs. If they graduated from high school, we have open enrollment. We are open to the mother who perhaps is a single mother and suddenly is faced with the need to earn money, and so comes and enroll in one of our career educational programs like nursing or some other program that we have on our campus. We're open to the person who happens to need an additional course, even with a bachelor's degree, but now needs more training in computers. We're open to the recent immigrant who needs to take our English as a second language class. I could go on and on, but the reality is that it is the most egalitarian, the most democratic of all of our institutions in higher education. And so when I wanted to be inspired, all I had to do is get up from my desk as a president and walk out on that quad and see those students and realize some of them were the first ones in their family to attend college. Some of them were having to work, but it was the fact that we had very small tuition price. So it was a great vision that led me to community colleges, and I'm so proud that I was able to serve for community colleges in 3 different colleges, eventually in the legislature, and eventually as chancellor of the California Community College. You might ask the question, why did you choose Pasadena City College? Well, I chose it because someone, his name was Jim Tatum had been hired by the trustees to help them in finding a president. There was a vacancy. And I got a telephone call. It said, Jack, a lot of people have mentioned your name. I was president of Cypress College at the time, and we'd like for you to apply. Well, of course, once again, as somebody said, I naturally consulted with Lakrita, and she seemed positive about that possibility. I drove down here and I met with John Casey, the retiring president, and I had a couple of questions. I said, well, what about the board? He said, it's an outstanding and supportive board, and that proved to be true. And then secondly, he told me that they were in good fiscal condition, which is a question I asked. So I applied, and sure enough, early in 1987, I got that telephone call in which I was invited to come to Pasadena City College. It was a wonderful experience. We were able to announce a building program in which we built 4 buildings. One, of course, is the Staff Shepard Library, and we then also gained the funding for the athletic facility. But I won't say it was Jack Scott who did that. It was staff members who helped me. It was trustees. It was some fortuitous circumstances. Once in a while, we had a little opposition, and we tried to deal with that, and we're successful in dealing with that. Building a building is not always easy to do. But I'm more proud of something other than the buildings, because the buildings simply facilitate what happens at a college. And the real thing that happens at a college like Pasadena City College is people are able to fulfill dreams. Students are here that are from low-income families. Well, all of that was happening. Thousands of students were at this campus. And all I could do when I would look out on that quad and see those students is to rejoice that I was given the privilege to be here. Let me tell you one little story about what Pasadena City College can do. There's an associate justice, or was associate justice of the Supreme Court, by the name of Joyce Kennard. She came here once to address, when I was president, to address our graduation. And she told a moving story. She was born in 1941. At an early age, she was placed in a Japanese concentration camp along with her parents. Her father died shortly thereafter, and so she and her mother survived that concentration camp. Eventually, she immigrated to the United States. She worked, and then she enrolled in Pasadena City College. She said she came here, and she was very complimentary of what PCC had done for her. She said, I came here with little money, but with fierce determination. She went on to get her degree and her law degree from USC, and then she was appointed as an Associate Justice of the California Supreme Court and served for 25 years. I could tell you other success stories, but that illustrates the power of the community college, and particularly this college, a college which stands out, which has the highest transfer rate of any community college in California. So I guess I close this speech with the same way I began it. I am grateful. I am very, very grateful for all that everyone has done for me in my life. I am glad to had the opportunity for service, and I'm particularly pleased to be here at Pasadena City College, and of course to look upon this building, and in an unexpected way to suddenly see my name appear. I'll tell you a little story about that. I was invited to the Board of Trustees back in December of 2021, and so I'll tell you what happened. Suddenly, Bobby here had said, "Why don't you come to the Board of Trustees? I need someone to support a report I'm giving." And so I said, "Sure, I'll do that." So I walked in, and suddenly President Indra Jonas called me to the platform, and she surprised me and said, "The Board of Trustees has unanimously decided to name the administration building in your honor." I was surprised. I had not hinted to anyone that I wanted that to happen, but you can imagine how pleased I was. And so I stand here as a person who is very grateful for the life I've been able to live, and I'm grateful for the presence of everyone who is here. I feel like the line that is in the 23rd Psalm, where David wrote these words, that you have, speaking of the Lord, he said, "You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over." I feel like my head has been anointed with oil and my cup runs over. Thank you very much.